Do you hear me so loud and clearly? This is the last time you'll ever hear from me.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Jonesy's vlog. So reacting to today's very frustrating 1-0 defeat to QPR at Ellen Road. I say frustrating, basically, I mean it's been summed up pretty well by most people, but no better than Ross McCormack, who said, you know, we definitely didn't do enough to deserve 3 points, but we certainly didn't deserve to come away with 0 points. And I firmly believe that, really. You know, I don't think we deserved to lose that game today, but we definitely didn't do enough or deserve to get the win either. But you know, I think a draw would have been a fair result. I'm sure a lot of QPR fans would also have said that. I'm sure they'll be over the moon to have gone away with all 3 points, all things considered in the game. I think really both teams didn't do enough up front. You know, not many chances really that you can speak of. You know, we didn't really test Rob Green that much, and Paddy Kenny certainly didn't have too much to do up until the goal, of course. But I mean, we look at it in general. You know, QPR is going to be one of the toughest opponents that we'll come up against this year. Clearly a very difficult side to break down. We definitely saw that today. Bit disappointed from there. I mean, you look at the team. I mean, the players in that team. You know, there's still some Premiership quality there. You know, some big players. But for me, going forward, they didn't really offer too much. There wasn't really any point in the game that I felt uncomfortable or felt that we were actually going to lose that game, because I didn't feel too under threat from them. I think more the second half, they started to pressurise a lot more, which was probably bound to happen with the way the game had gone. I felt Leeds, for me, dominated the first half a lot more. We seemed a lot more in control. But overall, the thing from Leeds, and again that everyone has really picked up on, is just the lack of creativity. I mean, McDermott and McCormack have come out and openly said, you know, we there was nothing in it really today. You know, we didn't create that much. And it was really disappointing, because you could see there were times where we were getting in the correct positions, we were getting in the right positions, but when it got to that crucial opportunity of making that right decision, we were making the wrong decisions. And I mean, that does happen in football, of course it does, it happens in every walk of life, but I mean, it was just happening way too often today. You know, making the wrong pass, you know, putting poor balls into the box. Our corners and sort of free kicks were, you know, we didn't see any threat from there really. So I'm just going to change my hand there, thank you. Yeah, there was just no creativity and lacking in that final third. So that's a real poor point. But you know, on the positives, you know, we played a decent passing game. I think, you know, it wasn't always working. You know, not a lot of the passes were coming off. But similar for QPR, I thought, you know, they were giving the ball away a lot. You know, I thought Joey Barton, especially for them, he seemed to give the ball away quite a lot in dangerous areas. Well, for us, you know, in the first half there were 2 or 3 times where they gave us the ball in their final third of the pitch. So you know, it was a poor game really. Looking at it from that perspective, very scrappy. You know, nothing in it, like I've already said. So all in all, disappointed to come away with nothing from the game. You know, I've been very happy with the point, but not absolutely gutting. You know, it could have been a lot worse, and you know, we were bound to lose at some point. So you know, to lose to QPR, who I can see sort of being up there, just from the fact that they are such a tough team to beat. And we've seen that so far this season, and especially again today, even though they don't seem to pose too much of a threat. I mean, that's something that they may improve on, but you know, I can see them being up there, so not too disappointing to lose to a team like QPR. So that's just a quick analysis of the game. So I'm going to do a new thing now. I'm actually going to do some player ratings, and I want to give a shout out to James LUFC, who gave this suggestion to me to do this. So I thought it'd be something a bit different to add to the vlogs that I do after the matches. So starting with Kenny, a bit tough to say here because a lot of people have been blaming him for the goal. I mean, sitting in the northeast up corner, couldn't really see exactly what happened for the goal, but a lot of people have been putting the blame on him for that. But for me, I mean, he made that save 1-on-1 with Austin very early on in the second half, and I thought he commanded his box quite well today, especially in the first half, coming and collecting some decent balls and hanging on to it. I thought his distribution was really good, apart from one kick to Ross McCormack, but quickly getting the ball out of the box and getting it to the defenders and playing it through that way. So I'm going to give him a 7 because, like I say, I personally haven't seen the mistake he made for the goal. Once I've seen it, it could drop to a 6. I'm going to give him a 6/7 because I thought it was okay really. Lee Peltier, I'm actually going to give a 7 because I actually thought he did really well today. I thought he put some decent tackles in, and I thought defensively he was pretty solid and he did really well. Coming forward again, he always struggles and that's his letdown really, but that's something that's well documented and well known. He actually, ironically, did quite well coming forward towards the end when he had that shot that went off for the corner. I thought he did quite well at getting forward there. So for me, he is improving, and I think the fans are starting to see that a bit and not getting on his back as much as before, which is nice to see. So a 7 for Peltier. I'm going to give Scott Wootton an 8. I thought he was pretty solid, to be honest. His first match, and 90 minutes at Ellen Road, and I thought he dealt with it perfectly well. I thought both him and Pearce were quite decent, both together at centre back, but I thought Wootton just had that little bit more of sort of, well, not experience, but just a bit more something to him that made him stand out a bit more. So I'm giving him an 8. I'll give Pearce a 7. As I say, I thought they both did pretty well in centre of defence together. Warnock, I'm giving a 5 because he was pretty poor today, which is quite unusual from him. Usually quite a solid left back, but today his performance, he seemed to be all over the place, giving the ball away far too often. I mean, there was that awful giveaway for that Austin 1-on-1 opportunity in the second half. I mean, I don't even know what he was doing there. Seemed to get caught out a little bit positionally, and sometimes getting the ball into the box. And I mean I think it was a free kick in the second half, which we needed to get into the box, and he just put it straight out of play. So for him, it's a 5. Very disappointing. Paul Green, I'm going to give a 6. I think people know my thoughts and feelings on Paul Green. He actually started off okay for me today. I thought he was getting around the pitch quite a lot. He was closing their players down and he was really putting a shift in. But then the mistakes start creeping in, giving the ball away far too easily, losing the ball in our own half, which is just suicidal really in the positions that he does it. Poor touches, and that for me carried on into the second half, and he just seemed to disappear really. So yeah, it's a 6 for Green. Austin, a solid enough 7. Again, getting stuck in. I thought he dealt with Sean Wright-Phillips really well. He got some strong tackles in on him, and he effectively kind of went out of the game. I think Austin kind of put him off his game in that sense. Again, poor with his passing at some times, and he had that belting shot at the end, which was really our main chance of the game, wasn't it? So yeah, I'll give a 7 for Austin, a 7 as well for Murphy. Didn't do amazingly well, but he didn't really put a foot wrong either. The odd pass here and there that went astray, but he ran quite a few things from midfield and started a few attacks. I'll give Ross. This is a tough one. It's between a 6 and a 7. I felt again he was putting the work rate in. He was putting the effort in. He ran a few things sort of up front and was getting involved a lot. But again, he sort of went missing now and again. A few poor touches, few poor passes here and there. Didn't really have any attempts on goal, which was quite disappointing. So a 6/7 for Ross, and he said himself he was disappointed with his own performance and not the way he wanted to celebrate his new deal, which we'll get on to in a minute. Noel Hunt was a 5 because I mean that first half was pretty appalling. There's really nothing to say about that really. Luke Varney 6 again, didn't get too involved. Personally, I wouldn't have brought him off as early as McDermott did. You know, bringing both Hunt and Varney off together. I thought he was obviously did the right thing in trying to change the game a bit, but I think maybe just sticking with Varney for a little bit longer and seeing him along with Polly on might have been the better idea. But Varney, you know, he won a few headers here and there, and his work rate was there as it always is. But again, nothing too much to shout about. Polly on, he didn't. He was very ineffective really when he came on, so I'm giving him a 5/6. Matt Smith again very ineffective. I'll give him a 5. You know, hardly won anything in the air, which surely that's the main point of him being at the club. But it was very poor from him to be honest. And it might have only been on for sort of 10 minutes, but I'm going to give Juve a 7 because I thought he actually came into the game really well. He held on to the ball perfectly. He got some decent crosses into the box, which at that point in the game we were needing to do. And he seemed the only guy that was sort of going to set something up for us, maybe. So you know, I thought that was a good little cameo from Juve, really. So those are my ratings for the squad. So let me know what you thought. Give me your ratings if you want for the players. See what you agree and disagree with what I'm going to the players there. So that's all I've got to say for the match today, really. Not too much to talk about. So moving on to the fantastic news. Obviously, Ross McCormack has signed this new 4-year deal that was announced last night. Like I said, I mean, I'd said a few vlogs ago that I didn't expect him to leave. It was my gut feeling. I mean, the longer it was going on, obviously, the more sort of nervous we were all getting because we're used to players leaving under those circumstances. But my gut always said that he wouldn't leave. You know, McDermott was always saying he didn't want him to go, and McCormack had made it perfectly clear that he didn't want to go as well. You know, it was just up to, you know, we didn't know what the owners were thinking, whether they were wanting the money in or not. But obviously they wanted him to stay as well, so that was some fantastic news. You know, keeping hold of one of our best players, always going to add something, you know, a bit of positivity to the fans and everyone. So really good news there. Just disappointing he couldn't have put in a better performance today, really, to celebrate that. So we're now into, well, after today's football and tomorrow's football over, into an international break, which is always frustrating as a football fan. I mean, me personally, I'm not too fussed about international matches. You know, I'm very much club before country kind of guy. So the international break is always really frustrating, and I think especially after sort of losing the game like we did today, it would be good to get straight back into another match to sort of pick ourselves up. But then again, on the other hand, it gives you know, like Sam Byram, it gives him some chance to. I think he's playing in a development game on Monday, and I think he's hoping to get about 60 minutes done there. So then that will give him, you know, a good 2 weeks to sort of get some more training in, and hopefully maybe get him involved in either the Bolton or the Reading game in some form. But we don't want to rush him back. We really don't want to get him majorly injured. So yeah, I mean, it might give the team a chance to get some important training sessions in, whichever way you look at it, positive or negative, either way. So yeah, the next game will be the Bolton game away, which should be a tough. Well, actually, Bolton have had a indifferent start to the season, I think, really. A poor start, let's be honest. Watched them the other week against QPR and they looked really, really poor. And the Reebok in the past hasn't been a bad place to go to. 2-2 draw last season. But I think that's somewhere where we'd be hoping to get 3 points. Just judging by how this season has started, and judging by how we're both playing. So we'll have to see how that goes. But obviously it's a while till that game. And in the next round of the cup, we've got Newcastle, of course, which is fabulous. It's exactly the game that I was wanting, really. It's the one I was hoping to come out because I thought it'd be it's always a fantastic ground to go to, St James's Park. It's one of my favourites. and Leeds fans always create a really decent atmosphere there. So I mean, it should be about 7 or 8,000. I'm not too sure about how many away fans will be there, but I think it's going to be around that number. So you know, that'll be a fantastic game for everyone. So I'm hoping to get to that one. Might do a similar video like I did for the Brighton game for that one. There is a Reading game away, which again I'm hoping to get to, so I might do a video for that one as well. So yeah, guys, that's all I've got to say. It's a bit of a more long-winded one today, just because it's been a while since I did my last vlog. Apologies for that, but there's been various reasons which I'm not going to get into. So yeah, apologies. There's been a bit of lack of activity, but I did get Ross McCormack's penalty from Doncaster the other night, so go check that out if you're interested. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Obviously, get in touch. Let me know your thoughts on the match today. Give me your ratings for the players, and give me your thoughts sort of leading up to the next couple of matches, and how you think the team are genuinely doing. You know, are you happy with the start to the season? You know, were you expecting us to do better? Were you expecting us to do worse? And yeah, let me know what you think about the international break, if you like it or not. And yeah, as always, thank you very much for watching. Leave me comments here on the YouTube page or on my Twitter, which is @ChrisJonesLUSC. And I will speak to you all very soon, guys. Thank you.
Repeat these words.